Shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokaha Chorash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone that rule well, and a hearty, wholesome shalom to the prophets of that body. Okay, actually, hearty, wholesome shalom from the apostles on down and to the prophets of that body. Shalom to all of them. The men of the Lord, the mouthpiece of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Sideline note, you Israelites that are sincere, excuse me, sorry, but I'm always clearing my throat. It always happens when I'm making videos. Yes, I've got liquid next to me, coffee, water, etc., etc. I lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, sideline note, Brakti Abashim Hashai. Sideline note for you sincere Israelites that are trying to learn, subscribe to the men of the Lord, the men of Great Millstone. It's up to you. Okay, I'm just giving you spiritual game as an Israelite foreigner that these are the men of the Lord. Okay, you're going to get this truth, this beautiful truth of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, as well as the name highlighted first and foremost of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai. Acts 4:12. There's only one name under heaven that we must be saved, and it ain't no freaking Jebus, okay, or any other name. It's Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, right? Subscribe, learn, and be edified. And if you're part of that number, you may be saved, unless we've already gone past the threshold where the elect are sealed. Okay, but at least you'll know where where you're from, where you're at, where you're going, and you heathens, right? Subscribe and be edified also, so you can know what your outcome is. So you better enjoy the last few seconds you have of your kingdom, and just get it in, and have a like one of those new, like what you heathens call a New Year's Eve party. You better have that every single day, all right? Because you ain't gonna get no parties in the kingdom. It's gonna be hell for you devils, and rightfully so. Now, back to the fact of the matter. I'm gonna talk about chastisement, okay? And chastisement, boy, it doesn't feel good, man. It doesn't feel good. Sudden shocks to the system, the mind, But then it's all of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, Proverbs 20 and 24, man's goings of the Lord, then how can a man understand his own way? Okay? And when you go through chastisement, hindsight kicks in. What if I did this? What if I did that? Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that. Then that wouldn't have happened. You can think that, but the fact remains is that in your life path, or however you want to say it, in your specific in your lifeline or your path, Yahweh Shai has put these specific hurdles there to test you. Okay, to test you, to purify you. Okay, to get all that dross out of you, the filth out of you, to purify your mind, to give you these sudden jerks, these sudden reactions on your mind, on your body, on your heart, on your system. How can you react to sudden situations like this? Because you're going to have these so-called wake-up calls, these so-called like a warm-up set before hell breaks loose, so you're used to it. Because if everything is like a Sunday drive, right? Actually, I don't really like Sundays because it leads to Monday, which is a work day. But let's say, it's not going to be like a Saturday afternoon drive, where everything's hunky-dory, You sit with a woman in the park, have a picnic or something, right? Actually, I want to use the term picnic, or you eat outside in the park, lay a blanket on the floor, your woman feeding you sandwiches while you got your head in her lap. Ain't going to be like that until you get into the kingdom. All right? You got your head in your woman's lap, and she's feeding you sandwiches and that, and you're just, talking sweet nothings to her. It's not going to be like that. Okay? You're going to have your times. You're going to have you're going to have a few little small sweet moments. Yahweh Shai bless you to give you that balance. But for the most part, as Elder Apostle Gabar would say in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, right? One of my favorite teachers. I mean, a great millstone is deep, and I've got so many favorite teachers, man. Nevertheless, a teacher for every Jake out there with it, depending on their temperament, or what who you connect with, like a brotherhood type thing. Um, Elder Apostle Gabar says, um, I'll lose my train of thought there. Elder Apostle Gabar says, what, yeah, Elder Apostle. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Elder Apostle Gabar says that if you don't get chastisement for a little while, you better, you better get worried, because if everything's hunky dory, because you might not be part of the hopeful elect or the elect, right? Which is a fear in itself, because you better think to yourself that you'd rather go through what you're going through right now than something even more serious. Okay, because the rest of the world, man, they're in comfort. And when all hell breaks loose, they're not going to be ready. You're being put through your warm-up sets to deal with what's to come. Okay, so don't think it unusual. Okay, but every kind of movie you see, which most of these movies are based off the scriptures anyway, but then Esau Edom with his warped mind sort of adds his own little spin to it, but it's all based off the scriptures. You see movies that are spiritual power based, and someone's the underdog and they get bullied at school and they go through their trials and tribulations. They're from a broken family or they've got financial issues. You always see that underdog come up. Okay, they go through the trials and tribulations, and it's someone like that's seen by everybody, but that person is really unseen. He's like that hidden rough diamond, that's going to be shining soon. The Lord is polishing, and this polishing requires chastisement. You're not going to always be chastised, but you're going to have your little moments. Okay, it lets you know that you're alive as well. And as also Elder Apostle Gabar says, we're not really living in this kingdom. We're existing. We're not really living. We're going to live in we're not living in this rulership, in Esau Edom's rulership. We're just existing. We're waiting to really live, which will be in the kingdom. Okay. The elder said it in not so many words. He said it in his own beautiful way, but I'm kind of like, what's the word? Summarizing it. Okay. Hindsight is the ability to understand an event or situation only after it has already happened. Oh, I should have done this. Or if I did that, that wouldn't have happened. But everything happens for a specific reason. You're supposed to learn from it. Okay? It involves looking back at past decisions, actions, or data with the clarity provided by knowing how things actually turned out. Key characteristics: post-event clarity. It allows you to analyze what went wrong, what caused an event, or how a situation could have been handled better. You learn from it, you learn from your mistakes, and think, okay, cool. This is what I need to improve on. This is what I learned from it. Lord willing, it doesn't happen again. Okay? And also you got as well as learning from that situation, you get chastised as well, right? And also for the kingdom, it'll make you, if you're part of that number, a better ruler, a better Jake, a better king, right? Because everything hasn't always been lovely for you. Example, a person that comes from the hood, example, right? Let's just say he was born in the 50s, grew up, he's in his 20s, in the 70s, he worked hard from, not a hood, to say normal family, working class family, things are tight, but things are sometimes okay. Jake grows up, gets his education, gets a job, starts his own business. Let's just say he starts, he's a mechanic. He's got 3-4 different locations. By the time he's 50 years old, he's got like 12 to 15 locations. And he's got his son. His son grows up. His son is, he lives a little bit better. He's existing a little bit better compared to how his father did, right? Now, if his son goes straight into a managing director role, okay, he's not going to be a good leader. A good father would put his son through trials and tribulations and a rigorous training schedule where he can learn everything. He might start in the, what do you call it? The mail room. Then he might even serve teas and coffees. I don't know if they do that anymore these days, but they used to. Um, he might work in, just doing outreach, for example, doing calls. If it's a call, like, for mechanics and stuff, whatever the job entails. Or, and then he goes to the point after a year, maybe he might be, delegating work. Then after a couple of years of doing that, he knows the job, he understands the ins and outs of the role. Then after maybe about 5 to 8 years, then his father might say, okay, now you can become a manager. Then after about 10 to 12 years, or after about 10 years, then maybe he can be an MD, you know, because then he understands the role, the company, the organizations, the ins and outs of it, every little intricate part of the organization. And you can become a what? A better leader, a better decision maker, a better king, right? Or a better boss. Using that situation as an analogy. So this chastisement is all a similar process. So you can become a better ruler. Okay. Information advantage. It relies on information, outcomes, and consequences that were impossible to know when the initial decision was made. Okay. In common phrases and expressions. Yeah, this is what we all say, right? Sometimes, in hindsight, or with the benefit of, or in hindsight, or with the benefit of hindsight, phrases used when reflecting on past choices. For example, in hindsight, I should have prepared more thoroughly for the presentation. Don't we all say things like that or similar things? Hindsight is 2020, a common idiom meaning it is always easy to evaluate past mistakes perfectly because you already know the final outcome. 2020 refers to perfect visual acuity. Psychological and conceptual distinction. Psychological and conceptual distinctions. That's a tongue twister. Psychological and conceptual distinctions. Okay. All right, we don't need to go there. We've got the basics, right? Now, let's go to what chastisement is. Chastisement is the act of scolding, rebuking, or punishing someone severely with the primary intention of correcting their behavior. Okay? Correcting their behavior. Derived from the Latin root castigare, it historically means to make pure or to set right. To make pure. Gold is tried in the fire, acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Okay? Historically means to make pure or to set right. Okay? That's what chastisement is. Correcting their behavior. All right? It could be verbal chastisement, expressing harsh disapprovals. Those of you that have had hardcore dads like myself, you get your ass whooped. Tennis racket, whatever. Could be even a little what do you call it? A switch, right? Or a bamboo stick that my dad used to use and whack you on the legs and shit. Man, that hurt. Verbal chastisement, but we still love our dads, man. It was rightfully so. We deserved it at the time. Verbal chastisement, expressing harsh disapproval, severe criticism, or a stern reprimand to rectify a fault. It could be verbal. Your mom could do that. But then when it comes to the physical, that's when your dad gets involved. Historically referring to a corporal punishment, such as spanking or smacking to discipline a child. Okay? That's chastisement. Okay? Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, or my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh Shai, okay? I'll say Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. Okay, be patient, Jake. For gold is tried in the fire. Okay, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Verse 6, believe in him and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. Okay? Trust in him. Okay? Verse 7, ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, or Yahweh Shai, ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. I love that part. Okay? Let's read from verse 7 again. Ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, wait for his mercy, and go not aside. Okay? Lest ye fall. You know? There is no plan B, man. There's no contingency plan. It's Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai all the way. Okay? All the way. Put all your eggs in one basket. People say don't put your eggs in one basket. Yeah, that's for the world. But in this case, hey, we put all our eggs in the basket of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. All right? Verse 8. Ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Okay? Ye that fear the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. Oh man, I love verse 10. I love it, love it, love it. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and was confounded? You know, they called upon the Lord, they were part of his sheep, and they called upon Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. You know, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai helped them, man. Okay, but they had to go through what they went through. But man, after the fact, they were okay. You know, after they went through it, they said, oh, you know, it was like a sigh of relief. They were pure, they learned their lesson. They learned from that situation. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai and was confounded, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken, or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Okay, all right. Let me read verse 11 as well. Then I'll leave it there for this chapter. For the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. Okay. Hebrews 12 and 11. Now chastening for the present seemeth now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous. Absolutely is not joyous at all, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. You know, you go through the situation, right? And you might be knee deep in it, and you think, man, I can't wait to get out of the situation. Lord, please deliver me. You know, it could be a week, it could be a couple of days later, it could be a week later, and then you reflect upon it and you learn from it. And it's given you a purification process, and also you feel somewhat cleansed as well, and you learn from it, and it keeps you more circumspect, keeps your peripherals alert as well. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You know your surroundings, and you know how you move. Your reactions become laser sharp as well. Let me go to this is King James, right? Let me go to Hebrews. Can I get it from here? Let's go to Hebrews 12 and 11. GNT. Just bear with me. This is the GNT. Okay, verse 11. Hebrews 12, verse 11. This is the GNT. Okay. When we are punished, it seems to us at the time something to make us sad, and something to make us sad, not glad. Later, however, those who have been disciplined by such punishment reap the peaceful reward of a righteous life. Okay? Okay? And obviously, this is another indication, all right, that the Lord is dealing with you. Okay? Again, one more scripture, okay? Okay, let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12. One second. Um, yeah, let's go to Hebrews chapter 12, verse 6. For whom the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Verse 7. Okay, that's Hebrews 12, verse 6. Hebrews 12, verse 7. If you endure chastening, the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yashai, dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? Okay? Okay, your dad is going to, your earthly father corrects you, right? Don't do this, do that. Only for what? To improve you. You do wrong, your dad either scolds you, shouts at you, or your mom does the same, right? Or they give you a little whooping. Might be a smack on your backside when you're a child, or a smack on the back of your legs. Before the age of 12, they might give you a little slap here and there. Rightfully so, as long as they don't go crazy and try and damage you permanently. Sensible chastening. From your earthly father, right? For whom the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? Okay, verse 8. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. All right? Okay? You're illegitimate. If the Lord ain't correcting you, all right? If you're an Israelite, the Lord ain't correcting you, then you're a bastard. You don't belong to the Lord. Because an earthly father, for example, I'll give you an example, right? You've gone to parties, weddings, receptions, and things like that. Okay, kids might be playing outside, children might be playing outside. Now, and there might be a group of men outside, right? They might be all drinking beers, and their sons and daughters might be playing like nearby. It could be a reception hall with a sort of like a field outside for, if you want to drink outside, like a bit of a, what do you call it, a patio and all that, right? And children are playing, running around. And obviously, a father's eye is going to be upon his own seed. Okay, each father there's 5 men standing outside, 5 Jakes, and they've got 1 child each, and they're all playing, running around. Each child is not going to be concerned about the other child. I'm sorry, each man is not going to be concerned about next man's child. They're going to be concerned with who? Their own child. Okay, their own child. They're going to be saying, Tommy, come back over here. Wait, stay away from there. Play near me. No more than 20, just make sure you're with me. I can see you, you're near me, Now, if you see a bunch of children and they don't belong to you and you're outside drinking, say, who are those children? Oh, they're just playing, You're not going to care. You're not going to bother. But Jake, because we've got a merciful spirit, and if especially our children, or even children in general, you might just say, "Hey, kids, be careful." You might say that once, maybe twice, right? But for the most part, because we're a very merciful people. But for the most part, you're going to be concerned with your own babies, right? And hence the reason why Yahweh Hashem Yeshua is concerned with his own babies, his sheep. Okay, all right. Here we go, verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? Okay, hey, our earthly dads, father corrects us. Okay, you know, and and would you rather be in subjection to the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yeshua, man? You know, if the Yahweh Hashem Yeshua looks at you favorably, man, you have nothing to worry about. The Lord looks at you with favor, man, you have nothing to worry about. Yeah, you're going to be put through the ringer. It's stressful. It does sort of f you up a little bit. It's not nice. It's not a great feeling at all. But it's a necessary requirement. It's a necessary requirement. And remember one thing: it's best to go through this, right? Whatever you're going through, than compared to what the rest of the world is going to suffer. We can see in movies how things are going to play out, right? But it's going to be way more gruesome than that. Okay? Very gruesome. And words and images from movies and trailers from movies, can only do so much. But when you're knee deep in that situation, it's going to be really heavy handed. And the rest of the world is going to suffer, but the elect are going to be okay because the elect are being prepared right now for what's to come. All right? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there now. All praises, honor, glory, and blessings and power be unto Abanoah Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash, the Wadi Yahweh, the Wadi Yahweh Shai, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, for blessing me and making me an Israelite, blessing me for coming from the seed line of Jacob, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, the Wada, the Wada, the Wada. Okay? All praises, honor, glory, blessings and power be unto all praises, honor, glory, and blessings and power be unto Abanoah Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash, Mawatha Bad Babal, Kwam Yashrala, Shalom.